loves us so much. She's booked and busy. All right, traveling, doing the around. As you see, she's in a hotel. I can't know if you can see her, but she literally, like literally, got off a flight from the airport, came to her hotel, dropped her bags, sis put on some red lipstick, curled her hair, and got on camera. I told her when I saw her, and then she come on, it's like, oh, is this good? Is the lighting good? Girl, you look great. So I told her we appreciate the effort. Okay. I'm gonna have my camera on. You know how I'm always gonna ask because we love to see faces. We love to create a community. So if you are able to put your camera on, we would deeply appreciate it. I know she would. She looks gorgeous. She would love to see you and address you by name. It'd be amazing to do. But if you can't, we understand. There's no judgment here. This is a community. This is sisterhood right here. And so I want to let you know, I'll give you her formal bio, a little bit of her formal bio, but what I've been noticing is that I like to speak from the heart and why she's sitting here before you about to present as a licensed psychotherapist. She's based in New Jersey, right? So right now she's in Tennessee. So there, we got different we got East Coast, West Coast stuff going on right now. But I met Dr. Angela, or I had the pleasure of virtually meeting her during the pandemic. And back when Clubhouse was popping and everybody was on, and I was doing a room. My house was called Faith and Fitness, of course. And she came in, I don't remember which room she came in, but she came into one of the rooms, presented herself as Dr. Angela Clack, mental health therapist, psychotherapist. She's an advocate for Black women, women of color. That's her life's work. I've seen it, I've read it. And she just shared knowledge. And every time I got in a room with her and we got on stage, I felt like it was a group therapy session. Like I kind of reclined back. I said, let me just listen to what this woman of God has to say. And that she merged faith, but she also merged mental health together. And it wasn't one or the other. It's like she used both when we're talking. And so I deeply appreciated that. And then we opened up a room called Black Women in Mental Health, and that room was popping every Monday. Women would come in just to listen and be poured into, and she would be the lead moderator in that room because that's her wheelhouse. I would just open the room and let her do her thing. And so this is no different. Basically, it seems like we're doing Black women and mental health again. So I'm excited because tonight you're going to get poured into. And I know it's going to be from a place of love. It's going to be from a place of knowledge and wisdom and all the things. And so she has her own practice in the New Jersey area. So she's not new to this. She's true to this. I think it's about over 25 plus years, Dr. Angela, if I'm not mistaken, 30 years. Yes, 30 years in the game. She has her own mental health practice in the Jersey area. I could go on, but I really want to give her a warm welcome and let you guys know that you are before someone who knows her stuff and who loves Black women. She loves people. But when I hear her talk about her work, and even if something comes up in the news, I always appreciate Dr. Angela's got a take on it. Like when Megan Thee Stallion, was going through her stint of, going through her trauma, she posted and talked about it, and it's always I've never not seen her in the culture, but also in the kingdom as well. And so I love someone who can do both, who has the mantle to do both. So without further ado, I know y'all relaxing right now. If you're ready, put a 1 in the chat. If I've hyped you up enough and you ready, like Sarah, we heard you, we got you. Bring on Dr. Angela. Just put a 1 in the chat. I ain't gonna be offended. I'm here to uplift my sister. Thank you. Listen, we got a 1. Dr. Angela, you see the ones coming in? You see them? All right, listen, this woman is excited for you. She put on the red lipstick, not any lip gloss. She put on red lipstick for y'all and curled her hair just to get on here. So I'm gonna be quiet. Dr. Angela, you have the floor. I'm unpinning myself, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, ladies. It is such a pleasure to be here with you. I am going to do my best to stick to a script because this is such a passion and heart work for me. So let me go back because Sarah's just way too modest about who she is in the kingdom, but who she is also in the fitness world. She's beyond what a lot of trainers are putting out there in the world in terms of influencers. So when I met her during the pandemic, so we were on, at that time, it was an all verbal, like only talk platform. So you can even see the people. We just met because we had common interests. So we showed up in a lot of the same rooms. That time of my life is when I made the change in my faith, my fitness, and my wellness. I had not been, in all authenticity, let me just jump in and share a little bit of my story. I had not been well probably the year of the pandemic. Then here comes the pandemic. As a mental health therapist, I'm doing a lot of work. So as you can imagine, if I'm doing a lot of work virtually, I'm doing this. I'm talking, I'm sitting, I'm talking, I'm sitting. Sometimes I would work 8, 10 hours because at that time, the need for mental health services was so great by communities of color. Like I felt this kind of unnerving obligation to do my best to take care of my community. So over that time, I saw my body change, but I didn't give it the attention that I needed to. And the revelation is one day I literally looked down at my feet and my feet were swollen, my ankles were swollen. I didn't even recognize my own body. And that was inflammation from sitting, being dehydrated, not eating the right food, clearly not sleeping, and overworking. That day I made a change. Here comes this platform called Clubhouse. I got to meet so many trainers, so many physicians, naturopathics. I started following people who knew wellness, not people who just posting about it, but people who knew wellness. And one of those people was Sarah. And she always brought me into the room and she created a room so I could have a platform to teach and talk. So I am so grateful for who she is. And I know y'all already are too. Y'all love her as well as I do, because you know, if you follow the blueprint, you will get results. So tonight I have an opportunity to talk about focus, mental health, kind of like more mental health kind of focus. But if you look at my title slide, it says faith, focus, and fun and food. Because one of the ways that I find fitness to be palatable for me is I make it fun. So I included a few pictures of some of the things I've done in the last year, I think over the last year. So some of these are of different 5K races, different night runs, but they were fun. So I'm not running 5Ks, y'all. If you think I was running them, I was walk running, right? I'm not a runner. I used to be. I did run a little bit, but I'm not necessarily what people says I'm a runner. Like you see them running in the morning when they get up before work. I'm not a runner. So, but I'll do activities that will do things to increase my cardio and my heart rate, but it's also fun. So I did something that's my daughter at the bottom. We did a night run, so things glow in the dark and you kind of run around the stadium. The top one is a vineyard. It's a wine vineyard. So you got to run through the vineyards and run between the grapes. To me, aesthetically, that takes my mind almost like on a journey. So I imagine like I'm in Italy, right? Where else do they do the vineyards and the wines and the grapes and the movies and things like that? So I get to get out of the focus of only this being, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I turn this into a visualization exercise, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. So, and then in the right one, just us having fun. But this is my point, is that you can make faith and fitness fun. It doesn't have to be like we're just beating you over the head with scriptures or the Bible, but it is about what is my coping and what can I rely on? I know I can rely on my faith. If nothing else, I can rely on my faith. And let me pick my best scriptures to get me through those hard moments. So the whole title is Faith, Focus, Fun, and Food, Strategies for Renewing Your Mind and Achieving Lasting Weight Wellness. All righty, let's move on. So I say this everywhere I go because I do a lot of speaking and training. Here's the disclaimer, and you can read it. While I am a licensed therapist, I am not your therapist. The information provided in this workshop and our conversation is intended for education and information purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional mental health care, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're seeking that kind of support, I encourage you to reach out to someone in your area. You can hit me up, you can hit Sarah, I will help you find someone. But remember, anything that I'm sharing with you today is going to be from my personal experience, my journey, but also my work and my expertise as a therapist. But it's not anything that I want you to go back to your therapist and say, because this has happened before. She said, da, 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 da. So I want you to remember that, yes, I'm a therapist. I do my job well, but you may have a therapist. So take what you learn here, take it back and have a conversation. Or if you have a trainer, take it back and have a conversation, okay? All right, this is the part where I need you to have a notebook, a sticky, a piece of paper, grab whatever you can write on. I'm gonna give you a quick 30 seconds. So grab anything, a pen, pencil, you can use your notepad on your phone, anything, because it's just going to be a few icebreaker questions and you just need to jot the answer down. But I want the workshop to be very experiential. I want you to feel like you're a part of the conversation. So I'm going to give you 3 questions and they're all going to be tied into the purpose that we're here. So please grab your paper. So I'm going to do the Jeopardy thing. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. That's it. All right. All right. Question number 1. Here's your first question. What do you feel is the biggest roadblock or barrier that prevents you from fully taking care of yourself and your body? And I'm going to read that again. What do you feel is the biggest roadblock or barrier that is preventing you from fully taking care of yourself and your body? I'm going to give you like a few seconds to write that down. So the purpose of this question is to encourage you to reflect on your personal challenges. My belief is that 90% of us are going to have very similar answers, which is why we're here. Many of us have the same struggles. Many of us have the same barriers that's getting in the way of our being successful in our weight management journey, our mental health journey when it comes to our weight management. So I want you to take your time and just think real quickly. And I want you to be honest, no one can see this but you. You know, you're more than welcome to share it in the chat, because I will ask you if you feel comfortable, you can share it in the chat, but you do not have to. So that's question number 1. What do you feel is the biggest roadblock or obstacle that prevents you from fully taking care of you and your body? All right, we ready for number 2? Here we go. My second question for you is, what's one small victory you've celebrated recently that had nothing to do with the number on the scale? This is a good one, because I think sometimes we don't remember about those non-scale victories. So what is one small victory? And we don't celebrate. What's one small victory you celebrated recently that had nothing to do with the number on the scale? Okay. And this question is going to get you to shift your focus. Remember, I'm talking about focus. This question is designed to get you to shift your focus off the number on the scale to how is my life different? How is my health better? What other kinds of ways am I more healthy than I was, even if that number isn't changing as quickly as we would like? Question number 3. How do you typically manage stress in your life? How do you typically manage stress in your life? And what's one strategy that has been particularly helpful for you? Okay. So those are the 3 questions. Let me do the last one again. How do you typically manage stress in your life? So typically means most of the time. How do you typically? It's like some of us can have harder days and harder weeks, but we don't cope so well. But there are times where we do pretty decently. So how do you typically manage stress in your life? And then what is one strategy that you found particularly helpful? So now I want you to hold on to your answers. You can continue to write if you like. I'm going to move on through the conversation. I'm going to come to a point where I'm going to ask more about your answers. And then if you can come off mute and talk, you're more than welcome. If you want to instead, when I get to that point, write it in the chat and we read your answers, we can do that. Okay? All right. So here we are. Here are the common mental health challenges that women face when managing weight loss and weight style of life. If you look at these for just a moment, just as a quick flash for yourself before I go over these, take a look and see which ones of these, maybe all of them, maybe it's just 1 or 2. Which one of these do you also struggle with? Because these are challenges that universally, for the most part, women show up either in therapy, they show up to the nutritionist, they show up with trainers, these are some of the things that show up, and I'm going to go through each one of these, but for a moment, look at which ones and see if any of these are part of what you are dealing with. Emotional eating and stress is a common challenge. Body image and self-esteem issues, common challenge. Perfectionism, I'm going to raise my hand on that one. And all or nothing thinking. Depression and anxiety is real. Yes, depression and anxiety are real. Trauma and emotional barriers can get in the way. That's a challenge. And also social isolation or a lack of support. So these in some way, even alone, one of these can be a big challenge on our weight management, weight loss, style of life's journey, whatever you're calling it. So let's look at each one of these in kind. So the first one, I don't think I have to say much about it. Emotional eating and stress. I think every one of us is here. Every one of us has had in some way, really struggled with emotional eating and stress eating. I think probably I could take the rest off of here because really all of them in some way fit under there. But many women are struggling with emotional eating and stress because food can be comfort. So just like when you get well in your body, food becomes medicine, and you're really conscientious about what you take in and how much and portion size. Before we reach, probably many of us, when we get to that place where we transition into our most well body, emotional eating is more about coping through eating our feelings with food. So we all kind of know stress eating. I know some of us think about hard days and we come home and we might just run through something in the kitchen. But it is coping with food to manage emotions. Well, let me repeat that. It is coping with food to mismanage the emotions. All right. And remember, when we're doing emotional eating and stress, I don't think we're choosing carrots and cucumber and hummus, right? We're choosing very dense food, sugary, something crunchy, something salty, a lot of empty calories are really kind of going to put on the pounds for us, right? Okay, now we're at number 2, body image and self-esteem issues. So when you think about body image and self-esteem issues, I want you to think about the way in which I see myself, the way in which I see myself now, and also the way in which I see myself as I transition into that healthier version of myself. Sometimes we don't change the way we see ourselves. I've worked with lots of women who have made significant weight and body composition changes in their body. They lose weight, they look beautiful, they're strong in their body. But what their mind tells them is that they're still that same heavier woman, that same woman who had a different body before she got started on that journey. And for that reason, I want to make a point really quickly here, and then I'm going to kind of buzz through the rest so that I don't keep everybody on here all night. There are a number of fitness groups that I follow on social media, and there's a word that is continually being thrown around. And I want us to be very careful about using language that labels or diagnoses us, and we didn't consult a professional. The word is body dysmorphic disorder. I have seen many women in these fitness groups, they take pictures, they put it up there and they say, hey, I'm struggling with body dysmorphic image disorder. What should I do? But the reality is that's not necessarily true. And number one, if you're self-diagnosing, it's definitely not true. Because what body dysmorphic disorder image is, it's a preoccupation with seeing something about your body, on your body, that other people do not see. It's this perceived flaw in everything about or a particular part of your body. You pick parts of your body apart, you focus on parts of your body, and people will look at that and say, man, if I had that body, man, you look good. But the person, because this is a mental health issue, the person cannot see what people on the outside can see. So if you ever see someone, or if you've used that word, if you think it's true, please consult a mental health professional, please, 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 or a primary care provider, or a someone who is definitely licensed and credentialed to diagnose body disordered images and body disordered conditions. Okay, perfectionism. I joked about that and said that's me. I am not joking. I've been a perfectionist all my life. I always say I'm an overcoming perfectionist, but it creeps up every now and then. And how it shows up for us in our mental health and weight kind of quandary is that we feel like if we don't do something right, or if we don't make that perfect weight loss number by a certain date, we give up. So that's the all or nothing thinking. Either it's all good or it's all bad. Either I'm going to do it right or I didn't do it right. And now instead of eating one chip, I'm going to eat the whole bag of chips. And so you throw all of your goals, achievements, because maybe there was 1 or 2 days where you really struggled. Perfectionism is also it's a whole nother conversation, but it is also a mental health challenge for people who feel like they're not good enough. And of course, when you look at your body and your body is not the way you want it to look, you will also feel like, I failed in some way. Depression and anxiety are real, ladies. Yes, it is. I know we know that there are faith communities that are teaching something a little bit different, in the sense that they may respond to people who are struggling with mood and anxiety with, hey, maybe you're lacking faith, pray about it, you're not praying enough. There's some way that you're being told that you're not doing enough in your kingdom building, in your prayer life, and that is not the case. And so we really want to educate our faith communities too. Depression and anxiety are real, and the Bible and the Word is definitely what we rely on as our coping to get us through. We all know people have continually talked about trauma and what that looks like and all the emotional barriers for that. There are women who've had different violations of their body, whether it was a direct assault or in some way a violation of your body. In some ways, you now kind of hide behind your body. And so that's a whole nother thing. Again, another conversation, but I want you to pay attention to how serious mental health challenges are and how seriously and significantly they will impact how we see ourselves and how we want to focus on our wellness. And the last one is social isolation or lack of support. I am a big proponent that we heal in community. This is community. Sarah's whole BTS, that's a community. What you do after this, if you continue to work with her, you have now connected with her in her community. So we need each other when it comes to this. So the other part that we're going to talk a little bit about is, well, Dr. Clack, you didn't told us about all of these mental health challenges. Yep, I kind of probably have struggled with most of them. So now what do I do? I got it. Now what do I do with all of these struggles that I'm having? One of the ways that I really want you to think about this is think about, where do I need to gain my support from? Some of us really do need to go to therapy, period, but not everybody. Some of us need a good nutritionist. Some of us could use a trainer. There are so many combinations. There are healing circles, there are support groups. There's lots of different ways. For me, one of the ways that I keep my gym schedule consistent is because I meet two of my friends there. When one of us doesn't show up, we are looking for that person. So that's my community. And I mean, that's tight. We're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. We do not veer off that time. And if one of us is not there, we make sure we check and see if there's a reason why that person is there. i.e., I'm away, so I'm not going to be there this week. But one of the things is that you can really get beat down when you think about your struggles with mental health and how it impacts your focus. And so we want you to develop some emotional resilience. There are things you can bounce back from. Like, we're all going to go through things. We're all going to have struggles. We're all going to have stress. Some of us will straight focus on the negative. I have so many people I'm working with to helping them to get out of a negative mindset. It is such a struggle because it's been such a part of the way that they think. But what I want you to think about is that even in my darkest days, my hardest times, that if I'm committed to this fitness, and if I'm committed to being my most well self, I will learn to bounce back from those things. And here I've listed just a few kind of ideas about ways you can do that. develop mindful eating practices. And I'm pretty sure that this has already been talked about with one of the other coaches in the BTS presentations, but mindful eating practices. So now I'm not kind of mindlessly dealing with stress and going into my kitchen or driving past fast food places and just kind of eating anything. I'm mindful about what I'm eating, why I'm eating it. Am I eating it because I'm hungry and I do need to eat? Am I eating it because I am anxious? Am I eating it because I'm stressed? So mindfulness is stay in the moment, check yourself, what's going on inside before I make my food choices. Of course, address any underlying trauma, cultivate self-compassion. We can be the most hard women, Black women. We can be the most hardest people on ourselves. We really don't need to do that because the world has already set us up with some barriers and want us to learn to love ourselves so much more. Reframe your goals to focus on well-being and not just weight. So remember, go back to the icebreaker question, because one of those questions was, and let me go back, it says, what is the one small victory you celebrated that had nothing to do with the number on the scale? This BTS Beyond the Scale and non-scale victories is designed to get you to focus on total well-being, the total person. Build a supportive community. If you don't have one, create one, you be your community and start inviting people into your community. Of course, develop emotional coping skills, redefine success, and embrace small wins. I know that people see women who say, oh my gosh, I lost 30 pounds. I lost 25 pounds. And you're kind of sitting over here in the cart like, okay, I got my little 5 this week. Embrace that. Celebrate that. Because I don't know what it took for you to get that 5. I don't know what it took for them to get their 35. But if I know me and I'm like, well, it took me a lot to even get this 5, I'm going to celebrate my small wins. And then you work your way up, and soon your 5 becomes 10, and your 10 becomes 20, and so on and so on. And then lastly, how else do you bounce back from things? How you build emotional resilience? Challenge some of these norms out here around what bodies should look like. So we know people have always talked about, think of what the word is. It'll come back to me. But we always want to know that societal norms will create a narrative that may not fit our body type. So please don't fall into these kind of challenges they put out there, these narratives about what you're supposed to look like, how you should eat and all that. Just follow a really credible program. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. And cultivating authenticity is be you. You don't have to be nobody else. This is about you and your game. This is about you taking care of you. So here's my vulnerability. I have been all sizes in my journey. And I'm being vulnerable and sharing pictures with you now. I have been different sizes. I have lost weight. I have gained weight. I have lost weight and then I've plateaued. Oh, that's the hardest part. I would love for you to, when I'm done, Sarah, to talk about the plateau for a moment. I have plateaued where I had reached a significant weight place, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm working so hard. What's happening here? But the way in which I fixed that was my trainer told me I had to change my workout. I was doing the same thing, the same way. So my body, I was not challenging my body to do anything different. The second picture that you see, that is my garage. And this is why I put this picture on there. During the pandemic, I didn't have a gym membership and people weren't in the gym anyway. Everything I did to lose my 60 pounds, I did in my garage. My husband has weights. He has the I call them, he has the old prison weights. I hate to tell y'all that, but they look like the old prison weights. Are very rusty. They're the big kind of heavy ones. They're not the nice little, kettlebells and things like that, but they got the job done. And so my trainer found a way for everything that I had in my garage, he made a workout for it. And with that and me following a very, very, very clear plan of what I was eating, I wrote down everything that I was eating for 8 months. I kept my food diary for 8 months and I got the results. And so the one in the black dress is me at my heaviest. And of course, the one with the white background is me as my most healthiest weight. And so I just want you to see that it's not a perfect journey for any of us. Even as a therapist, I stress eat. I emotional eat. I struggle with that. But I know that I have the tools to be able to manage that too. So I wanted to make sure that I also followed up with some scriptures because when I'm journaling, because that's another thing I would love, and I hope you're already doing this. In addition to my food journal, I also had an emotional journal, and I always keep journals. So I have different journals for different things. I got a lot of journals, but I also find scriptures that fit with what I'm going through. And these were the ones that I used during the pandemic. These were all the ones that I remember. So I went back through my journal. I pulled out the ones, and you are more than welcome to take a snapshot of this so that you can have these as well. I won't read them for sake of time, but definitely match your scriptures up with your affirmations. We're good about affirmations. We're good about what the I am this, I am that, I am that. Great. But you not anything that God didn't make you to be. So I am, yes, but now match it up with what the word of God says, because that never changes. Our affirmations might work for us one day. The next day, you're like, I ain't feeling it today. I'm not reading them. I'm not saying nothing. God's word never changes. And finally, I just want you to know you got this. We got this. We in this together. If there's anything that I can lend to you by way of information, resources, again, you will you can get my information. I don't know where, Sarah, they can get my information, but they're more than welcome to email me, to DM me on Instagram. That's probably the place I'll see it first, on IG at Dr. Angela Clack Speaks. Let me say this, there's so many people that after I do these talks and have these wonderful conversations, they're like, hey, I'd love to work with you. I've been looking for a therapist. Okay, disclaimer number 2. Unless you live where I'm licensed, I can't help you. Now I can help you find a therapist where you live, but I'm licensed in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So those are the states that I can serve. So whenever you're looking for a therapist, they must be licensed in the state in which your feet reside, okay? So if you're in those areas, I can help you. If you're in my areas, I can help you, but if not, I can also give you lots of great directories, and I have plenty of colleagues national that I would love to help you on your mental health journey. We all have mental health, and we all need to take care of our mental health. So I'm going to stop the share. Is that okay now, Sarah? We good?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm going to come back in the room. Okay. Well, look at all these people. I see all these. Oh, y'all so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Listen,
Sarah, you did that. This is gorgeous. I'm just looking at the faces. This is beautiful.
isn't it? Like, listen, and
Oh, my Siri talking. This is beautiful. Oh my
listen,
gosh.
Dr. Angela, I feel like this is gonna, go into, how we used to moderate the rooms and have the conversations. I feel like we just got to do it. We just got to do it. Um, some of the questions you asked are, I put them in the chat, and for those who came in a little bit late, Tosha, we'll get to, we'll put the scriptures up in a moment. Yes, ma'am. For those who just came in, Dr. Angela started off with an activity that she wants everyone to do as a part of is to journal, and she gave us 3 questions. I'll repeat them, and they're in the chat too. I'll rewrite them if you didn't see them. Oh, hold on, wait. First, that's her IG. The first question being, what do you feel is the biggest roadblock or barrier that is preventing you from fully taking care of yourself or your body? That's the first one. You don't need to, she encourages you to write and journal that. And then the second question being, what is one small victory that you celebrated recently that had nothing to do with the number on the scale? That's question number 2. She would like to encourages you to journal that. And question number 3, how do you typically manage stress in your life? And what is one strategy that you found that is helpful? So I wanted, before we go into conversation, I wanted to reiterate those for those who came in. That's the activity, the assignment. All right, so let's get into it. Dr. Angela. So one of the things, and we've had these conversations, and we will continue to have these conversations, and because this is the type of conversation when it comes to mental health and fitness and weight and management and stress, that it though we've heard it before, it's for some reason it sometimes may not click. I'm not going to say it doesn't click. I'm going to say sometimes it may not click, or we don't apply it, or we don't, or we've applied it and we feel it doesn't work. what would you say to that person? How would you navigate that conversation? Because this is great information and it's good stuff to know the strategies that'll help us. But what is that? Is there a disconnect? Is it focus? What would you say is that bridge?
Yeah, I definitely think it's focused. I think it's
Okay.
intentional in terms of, I think you have to set intentions. And I remember when we were in Clubhouse, the number one thing y'all kept saying is you have to know your why. You have to be connected to your why. So whenever I was struggling with either food or not wanting to work out or just being tired, I kept remembering my why. And my why was my body wasn't well, and I refused to go back to that. I just said to myself, I will not go back to that weight. I will not go back to almost facing surgery because the fibroids and the food that I was eating was feeding the fibroids. Like I knew that I just couldn't go. I couldn't go back. I had to stay focused. And so I would enlist my accountability partners. Again, I had prayer partners. We were in this together, but it is about focus because you lose focus when you feel like you're failing. And that's why I say you gotta reframe failing because the world will make you think you're failing because they have another standard for success. Failure has to be reframed by you because you gotta fail to know how to do something different. You're not always going to get it right. There's nothing wrong with failing. The key is, do you get back up? Because you can stay stuck and commiserate in your failure and stay where you are, or you can reframe failure as a setback only to set you up for the next comeback. And that's how I had to start talking to myself. And that's how I talk to my clients. Now, people work with me at some point. I'm gonna be nice in the beginning. But then if I'm gonna keep telling you the same thing and because you're getting the same results, we can really have a different conversation. And that is reframe failure. You don't have to stay stuck there, but it is about being intentional, remembering your why, and get focused. And no, it's not perfect. I told you, I've been all kinds of sizes. It ain't perfect.
Yeah. You lose focus when you feel like you're failing. I think that is what it is right there. You lose focus when you feel like you're failing. And so with that being said, I wanna navigate that conversation because I feel and this is just what I've noticed. I'm not calling out anybody in particular. You mentioned some of the let me pull them back up. I took a screenshot because I just wanted to make sure I was addressing it correctly. Promote emotional resilience for weight management. These are some of the things you said could help us. Address underlying trauma. Is that something, before I go to that, you mentioned that we shouldn't be self-diagnosing ourselves, right? We shouldn't be like, oh, I got body dysmorphic or any of that stuff. Got it. All right. Addressing underlying trauma. How do you use that practice if you're not in the community, if you don't have a therapist just yet? How do you use that to say, well, this has been the roadblock that's been keeping me from staying focused on this journey, protecting my why, and really committing into a newer, healthier, focused version of myself, the version that I know God is calling me to be?
We're all very intelligent women. And here's my thing with that is that we know the patterns that we repeat. So if I'm doing the same things over and over again, if I'm resorting to vices to cope with things that I haven't yet worked through and finding myself in the same situations over and over again, finding myself in the same relationships with the same kind of dude all over again, finding myself hopping from one job to another because something didn't go right, finding myself leaving churches, going to this church, we know our patterns. It is up to us to make a commitment to ourselves to say, hey, I already know that something isn't quite right. And then please don't label yourself crazy. This is not about that. This is about being honest with yourself. You ain't because you're not hurting anybody else but yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. These recurring patterns come from someplace. Listen, some of this stuff didn't start with you. Some of this is generational, but the healing is yours. Now, the trauma you didn't invite the trauma, but the healing is yours. That's your responsibility. And so when it comes to things like trauma, if you know you're hurting and there's just things that just seem to keep showing up in your life and you just see these same patterns, it behooves you just to get a consult to talk to someone. You don't necessarily have to go deep into therapy if you're not comfortable, if you're still really, really shy about stepping into that process, or you think that people are going to, all the stigmas that we know that are out there, they're real, they're out there. But you have to be honest with, if no one else, be honest with yourself, because you owe it to you to be your best self. You don't owe it to anybody. Now, if you have children, yes, they're seeing you. They're seeing these things. So yes, people are watching. You know, people are always watching. They may not say anything, but people are always watching. And you have people who will uplift you and encourage you, and you're going to have people who are not. And so you can't rely on other people always to be your cheerleader. You got to do it for yourself, period. You got to do it for yourself.
I love that. You can't rely on other people to be your, sometimes it really does come from within. It's like an inside. Again, it goes back to your why. And it sound, and I'm only saying this because I was one of those people that had to come out of that. Despite me having a high level of commitment and discipline, I used to be like, oh, I'm just doing this because I want to, right? When really my want to was my why. Like, I want to do this. I want to see, losing 65 pounds and saying, like you said, I ain't going back. Listen, I like the size I am now, and I've been all types of sizes too. And so that I truly understand that is your why, right? And it has to come from within. We can have community, we can have trainers and nutritionists and therapists to encourage us and support us on our journey. Amen. But it really does come down to, do you want this or not? Like, that's like, how bad do you want this, and how do you focus on that? So I wanted to shift into the faith part of this. And Tosha asked, can you show the scriptures again? She'd greatly appreciate it. If you can share those scriptures again that you had listed, I can write them down.
I think I can read them to y'all so that I don't have to go back in and okay. So the first, all of these are under renewal of the mind. So the first one is Romans 12:2. And that one is, in short, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. The next one is Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. That's Philippians 4:6-7. The next one, 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own, you are bought at a price. Therefore, honor your God with your bodies. 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Isaiah 40:31. But those whose hope is in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar like wings, like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, walk and not faint. And the last one, 2 Timothy 1:7. For the Spirit of God does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Self-discipline.
No, that's right. Okay. And if anybody has any questions or wants to share something, or even share the answer to Dr. Angela's question, again,
Yes,
if you feel
please.
comfortable, we could talk about it. I know she's very helpful. Again, she's not our therapist, but she's going to help us. She's going to walk us through that. So if you have that, if you want to share or ask a question, you can put it in the chat or come off mute. In the meantime, when did you, Dr. Angela, start in, as it pertains to mental health and faith? When did you, I know you said in the beginning in your intro that it happened during the pandemic, but what was that shift for you? What was, because you've been doing this for 30 years. And so when I'm assuming you prayed about homes and finances and all the things. When did it shift for you to invite the Lord into mental health and also into fitness as well?
Oh, wow. That's good. So in my training, when I was in graduate school, faith was never, and spirituality was never, ever part of the conversation. It was very much psychology. And it wasn't until later on, after I got my degree and was in the world working, that I met a few psychologists that I saw doing it. And when I saw them do it, that gave me permission to do it. I said, so it's not so foreign to bring those two worlds together. I was trying to slide it in there, like,
yeah, I get it. Put it in there a little bit.
I tried to, but now when I saw them, I was like, oh no, they like out here with that. So they modeled for me that you can bring faith, spirituality, and psychology together. So I was like, okay, you just have to make sure that how you do it is in a way that for some people is an invitation. Can I pray for you? You know, some people who do call for therapy with me will say, hey, I picked you because I know that you have Christian therapists. And so I'll say, hey, so then tell me what you would like therapy to look like. Are you okay with me giving you scriptures? Should we read the word? Or do you just like the homework part? Or do you just like for me to talk about God in a way that he is your coping and you? So we talk about how we want to incorporate that. And some people are like, I don't want none of that. Give me this. And that's fine too. I'll do that too. But when I saw those two psychologists, two Black women psychologists, I was like, dang, you can do this and it's okay. And nobody ethically in any place can tell you that you can't do that. Food wise, it was just my journey. It's my journey. I myself have always been the heavier kid, always been the heavier kid. I've always been the heavier teen. I'm probably more, I was probably the same size I am now when I was in high school. I've always been a heavier person. My family are people who are heavier people. But when I got into learning more about fitness, see, I just didn't know. I thought you had to be in the gym 4 hours a day. I thought you had to eat grapes and crackers and water. Like, I just didn't know. But once I learned that you can eat, it's just how you eat, when you, like, I had to learn a lot. And that's the thing about Clubhouse, man. I was in every room. If it was a nutritionist, if it was a body builder, I don't care. I was in them rooms trying to glean every bit of information I could, and I did. And so I learned how to eat. I learned how to even measure food. I learned how important portion sizes are. But you know, and that's where I started intermittent fasting. I knew nothing about that. My trainer introduced it to me. I said, absolutely not. You're trying to tell me I can't eat for 12 hours? I'm not doing that. Well, but then when he explained to me, like, you do know you're gonna sleep sometimes. Like you're not you so we had to figure that thing out. But the more when you learn more, I feel like when you do better when you know better. That's what I had to learn.
I love that. So, and you mentioned, I love how you gave the two example of the person, and I feel like this will help somebody on here, when looking for a therapist, as it pertains to mental health and of course having Christian values and of course being a Christian, you mentioned that, hey, what does that look like for you to like, I like how you said you made it in the invitation. Do you want scriptures? Do you want homework? What are some other things for those of us that are seeking, like, hey, I've never tried this before, I don't know the questions to ask or what to expect? I think that was a great segue into it. What are some other things that therapists that like yourself that are full of the word, but also the onus is, it seems like the onus is on the patient, not the therapist, to say, I'm going to give you all of this? What are some other things they can look for and ask for from their therapist?
Wow, great question. So remember, you are the buyer, okay? So when maybe you're looking for the therapist for the first time, if it doesn't fit, if y'all don't click, you don't have to keep going back. They understand, like, they probably thinking the same thing, like, I don't think we fit too good. But that doesn't mean that there isn't someone out there for you. So first is about match. Find someone who fits the style. Some people like a really, really therapist who's like this. Some people just want the therapist who are just listening. And so we all have a different way of working. You're the buyer, you get to choose what works for you. The therapist is the expert. They're going to give you the knowledge and information, but you're the expert in your story. So you just need to ask the questions about what you feel works for you. I guess I will say that. And so some people may say, hey, I would really like a Christian therapist, but they're not really sure if their therapist is a Christian and they don't know how to ask. And so most people will find a therapist one of three ways. You either go through your insurance, and if you go through your insurance, most of us have a bio and a list of things that we treat. So it would say that on there sometimes. The second way is therapy directories. And so when we're listed on therapy directories, the biggest therapy directory for Black women is therapyforblackgirls.org. On there, we list what insurances we take, we list our approach, our orientation, how we work, so you can see that. But you can always just ask the person, say, hey, I'm looking for a Christian therapist. Is that you? Just ask them. Because either they're going to say yes or no. If they start hemming and hawing, you got your answer.
Mm.
Because some people just want a client. No. And make sure you say, now, you figure out how you want to answer it. People ask me like, okay, you're a Christian, but what do you believe in? And they need to ask that because not every Christian therapist serves God. They serve gods. They serve a lot of gods. So when you come on there talking about you serve this or that, they'll work with you. But you're looking, if you're talking about a believer, you're saying, no, I'm a believer. What do you believe in? Do you believe in the word of God? Do you believe that Jesus was the Son? Like, you have to ask that. You have to ask that because a lot of therapists out here are practicing really different these days. And you don't want you don't want to waste your time, basically. Don't waste your time.
You know, I mean, I'm so glad you went into that because the conversation around mindfulness, you know, I feel like you said, it can, I understand the concept of it, obviously, but you know, when it comes from people that you know may not believe the same things you believe, is it dangerous or what are some of the, I guess, roadblocks or things we should be aware of? Like you said, look, you don't know what they're practicing. So is there a part of mindfulness that we shouldn't tap into or be aware of before we even go into that when it comes to getting the professional help from somebody?
It might be hard to tease out of mindfulness because mindfulness is a huge branch. It's a huge force in the mental health
Yeah.
field. So one thing I would say is that I pick up on certain language. You
Mm-hmm.
say you love God, you serve God. When you say the universe, I don't know what you're talking about. You say she, I don't know what you're talking about when you're saying God. Like those things for me, I'm going to pick up on, and it's probably either I'm going to change the language. You might say that, but when I give it back to you, it's going to come from the way that I serve God. So people may say, yeah, you know, I can't believe that I manifested this. Did you?
Ooh.
Because the word of God says differently. I don't think people can manifest. I know that's a deep one. People don't like that. I had to work through that manifestation thing, y'all. I was one who thought I could manifest. I was doing all the boards and all that stuff. I still do vision boards for other things, but I don't give myself credit.
Yeah.
I know that God blesses me and God is the one who is manifesting all of that in my life. And I couldn't have any of those achievements without him. So I don't say I manifest anything. I won't, I'll never say that. If I do, it's a slip of the tongue, trust me.
No, I mean you right on it because that's the conversation again with the culture, manifestation and mindfulness, and I forgot what type of law it is, you know.
Oh, law. Law of attraction or law of
Yeah, law of
physics?
attraction. There we go. Law of
Okay.
attraction. These are all, you know, mental. Make yourself an inner God and make yourself the center and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I mean,
Yep.
it's out there. And like you said,
Yeah.
manifestation is one of the things that is one of many things that we should be aware of when we're,
Yes.
you know, thinking about our mindfulness and how to renew our word through the renew our mind through the word. And so I'm so glad you mentioned that because we got to be aware of that. Tosha said, I like the distinction Christian because some spiritual practices could be from the dark world.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Oh, most definitely.
Hmm.
Yep. A lot of times we don't know until they put it out there. Not every witch is wearing a hat and black clothes.
Talk about it. They're pretty
So,
and
oh,
smile
beautiful.
and just beautiful.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
So, mm-mm.
Okay. I wanted to, and again, I don't see any questions, but I want to ask this one.
Okay.
You on your slide of emotional resilience, challenging societal norms and cultivating authenticity. For the person that is still stepping in, you know, we're doing beyond the scale, you know, she's working out, she's eating healthier, she's fasting, seeking the Lord through all of that, cultivating that sense of using it as a way of emotional resilience. What would you say would be a baseline or something that can be practiced for cultivating authenticity? What is that? What I know it's different for every person, but what would that go to for her be like, hey, consider this. This would be a good place to start.
Okay. So I think I got the question. Well, one thing I will say is we have to pray about that spirit of comparison.
Mm,
Find that often that the reason why we're not our most authentic selves is we're still trying to look at how other people do things, how other successful, we're looking at other successful people, and we're believing that that's the only way to do this. but that might not fit with or align with our values, our core beliefs and who we are. It just doesn't align with us. So if we're doing it because someone else is doing it and they get this level of success, just think about, I struggle with this sometimes, like as a therapist, I'm watching all these therapists with all these great videos, TikToks. I mean, they can make the sky turn blue and green on these things. But when it comes down to it, I'm like, but what are we teaching? Because what you just said is not true. But the public doesn't know that. But because they're caught up in the lights and the therapist doing this and that and that. And I'm like, dang, I'm not that techie. Am I missing something? Like, should I be, so and that's not my authentic self though. To do all of that would be not my authentic self. So I think you have to start where you are. And if you don't know where to start, that's when you hire and you connect with people and you network with people who know more. Like I just didn't know fitness. I didn't, what I thought was a lot of things that are myths about food and myths about working out and what you eat, what you don't eat. So my most authentic self now didn't develop till I was much older. And in my 30s, I was following everybody else. In my 40s, same thing. As you get older, you start to be like, okay, that's really not, it doesn't feel right for me to do that. So I got to figure out what works for me. So that spirit of comparison will get us caught up really, really quickly. Because then you procrastinate and leads to all kind of cycles of things that get you stuck. So I'm not sure when you say start, if I answered that question for you though.
I believe it was answered in the question, like you said, just
Okay.
being the comparison. I mean, in your answer, like the idea of comparison, because when we hear these things, like where do I'm still learning. Because I feel, and again, and I feel this based off of not what anyone has said, but just picking up, like we're still trying to figure out what works for us, and you lose focus when you feel like failing. So this isn't working, right? I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. We're still growing and it's still respecting, giving ourselves grace, right? Giving
Mhm.
ourselves opportunity to say, I'm still working on that. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the idea of, well, what is not working compared to what? Is it compared to you 2 years ago, 2 months ago, or are you comparing yourself to somebody else? So I believe, and if anyone else feels like they want to chime in on this, that the question was answered through just realizing that we have to continue to combat comparison, which sounds like a tactic of the enemy, which we all know that we always have to overcome that. So
Mhm.
absolutely. Even to your point, for me being my authentic self, just being transparent, maybe more than 4 years pre-pandemic, I was the same way Dr. Angela. I was like, I'm gonna slide it in there. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get a little bit of Jesus here, you know what I'm saying? I really wasn't bold in my faith the way I am now. And so for me, it's I want anyone to challenge me if I said or did anything that looked like what you see today. Like if it didn't sound like,
Mhm.
what's she talking about, manifestation and all this stuff, like, or you like I'm okay with being different in a
Yeah.
space that is called more outward appearance, especially in the fitness industry. That was a big thing for me. Like I didn't understand how to navigate the conversation of faith and fitness, or how to bridge that gap. I wanted to, but I was nervous because everyone's talking about workouts, and I was like, I ain't even trying to get you out of workout. I'm trying to get you to know the Lord, and the Lord had to show me, like, no, the workouts is a part of it. You got to do it in your own way. So I'm grateful for developing authenticity and growing in it. So that was my question, and saying, how could they realize what areas would help them feel a little bit
Mm.
more secure, or where could they start?
Okay, gotcha.
But
Gotcha.
that was good.
Okay.
I don't see any questions, and I feel like this conversation we could potentially go on
I know.
and on and on and on. But
Wait, what they don't know is when we was in Clubhouse, it'd be like 5 hours later. We're still.
listen, I keep saying, like, we had a room, Black women in mental health, and we'd have anywhere from about 20 to about 50 women in a room.
Yeah.
And they would listen to us dialogue back and forth, and converse in the conversation, which is what I miss, right? Because we all have similar
Yeah.
stories. We're all at different lengths of our journey. So
Yes.
yes, we can literally talk about this because we've done it before, but we'll hold off right here. So Dr. Angela, I'm gonna drop your of course your Instagram
Okay.
information. But I want to give the floor to you, like any parting words, anything that our sisters need to know, like
Mm.
this is this is my last, if I could leave you with anything, if you got nothing else from this, if you need something, I know what I took from this. You lose focus when you feel like failing. You're failing. That is gonna be for me. What else do you want to impart upon us?
Wow. Man, there's so many things that I could really pour into you. I guess that's one thing that I could say is that, you know, when we hear that cliche, and by now it's cliche, but we know it's a saying, like you can't pour from an empty cup. I think as Black women, that has become saturated. It's been used too much because many of us still are doing it. You're working on fumes. And I promise you, I talk about this 10 times a day. You have to figure it out how to put yourself first. You are not selfish. It will feel like a struggle if you do something for yourself before you do it for a kid, your kids, or anybody else. It is not selfish because you have, oh my gosh, you have given so much away of yourself for 30, 40 years and you still feel guilty about doing something for you. Deal with the guilt. You're gonna have it. You're gonna have mommy guilt. You're gonna have wife guilt. You're gonna have friend guilt. You don't call me. You always doing. You're gonna have that because what they don't know is that just because you're not doing for them anymore doesn't mean you started doing for yourself. So be selfish. It's okay when it comes to your wellness because if you're not well, everybody connected to you isn't well. Because I guarantee you, most of y'all in this room, you're the strong one in the group. So be well for you because you can't keep holding the rope for everybody else. It's getting frayed. It's about to break. So if anything, let it go. And now pick up the rope for yourself. Do this for you. I have to tell myself this all the time. It's okay that I didn't wash the dishes last night. It's okay that those clothes are sitting in that basket for 2 more days because I was tired or I had a program to work on. It's going to be okay. Because it's not like there's a clothing fairy going to come in there and fold them. They're going to be right there. So it's okay. And tell yourself it is okay. If I had to leave anything else with you, that it's okay to be selfish sometimes. Yeah.
Listen, we love it. We love it. Hold on. I dropped your Instagram. You guys follow Dr. Angela. I heart Dr. Angela so much. I love our conversations. I love every time we get together. And
Yes.
she's a wealth of wisdom. I don't know, maybe we'll bring back Black women and mental health on a live one day and just get everyone to listen. We got to, right, at this point in time. So you guys can see what it's like when we just talk for hours about this. But Dr. Andrew, I would love it. I would love it if you would just close us out in prayer.
Okay.
If you could do so,
Sure.
that would mean so much.
Sure. So again, I want to thank you, Sarah, as always. You know, when you ask me, there's few people I don't tell my pastor no, I don't tell Sarah no. There's few people that doesn't matter what I got going on, I'm gonna make a way. So thank you again because I trust you. I trust you with community. I know that you bring in the best for the people that you work with. So you guys are blessed to have Sarah. She looks out for you guys. So thank you. And so all hearts and minds, if you're ready, Father God, I just want to thank you for this moment. Lord, you cleared the highway for me to get to this hotel because you knew that I had some heart knowledge and heart work to share with the ladies on tonight. God, you know, this is a passion of mine to speak about you in this way, to speak about all of the goodness and the greatness that you have in store for us. But we have to be well to carry out your mission. We have to be strong in our bodies to carry out your mission because you have us on assignment. And soldiers and warriors, they know they're on the front line, but they got to be strong in their mind.
Yes,
So,
Lord.
Father God, I just want to thank you so much for giving me every single word tonight to give to the ladies because none of this is from me, it's all from you. And I pray for each and every woman who's on the call tonight. I pray for you that you walk away with a renewed mind and spirit to now prioritize you and your wellness.
Yes,
Have
Lord.
a very safe evening. I love you all. God bless you and amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Angela. All right, y'all. We got some time before the 8:30 check-in of your workout. So Ty said thank you, Dr. Angela. Ty was doing her workout before, so make sure you tap in 8:30, y'all. The accountability check. Again, we have a great community here, and so we're going to continue to keep ourselves blessed. Dr. Angela listed that one of the things that will keep us focused when we feel like failing is community. So tap into your community, and that's pretty much it. We'll be back for tomorrow morning for 5:30 a.m. prayer. And we're going to continue to do the same things. We're building consistent habits. So I love you all. Have a great night, and I'll see you in the morning.